This is a Sports Catastrophe production.
Hey there, Heather, ho there, it's Jeff Cutter Diamond welcoming you to another Sports Catastrophe on this date. And on this day, December 9th, 1984, Eric Dickerson did something that only one running back in NFL history ever did, and smashed the 2,000-yard mark. Eric Dickerson was a big name coming out of Southern Methodist. When SMU were good, they had the great backfield of Dickerson and Craig James, and they were looking good. And they were national contenders. Unfortunately, though, that would all fall for crap as it was basically boosters getting involved and SMU getting the NCAA's death penalty. But anyway, Eric Dickerson had a good sophomore year. People forget that when he did his yardage thing on the infographic you see, it basically is that Dickerson was just a sophomore and the Rams needed him. So the 2,000-yard mark was hard. I mean, super hard. Only one running back ever did that, and that was O.J. Simpson back in 1973, putting up 332 attempts for 2,003 yards in 14 games. You got to remember that they played 14 back then. Before 1978, they changed it to 16 games. Of course, that stat's big because when Tampa went winless in 1976, they were 0-14, whereas the Detroit Lions were 0-16, and Cleveland too. But But yeah, to get 2,000 yards in 100 yards per game average would only get you 1,600. You would have to go roughly 125 yards a game. And most running backs can't get that 125 yards per game average. I mean, yeah, you have a 200-yard game sometimes, but you got to go 100 yards every game, and defenses sometimes just don't give you that much quarter. So Dickerson figured he needed to play his heart out. And he did, and all of that. Well, he didn't get 100 yards rushing in 16 games, Dickerson did. He did it 12 times. He broke OJ's mark for that. And it's 2,105 yards rushing after that game, beat Simpson's mark of 2,003 yards. Dickerson actually reached that mark and broke it, and I was happy. Now Dickerson, of course, had the benefit of playing 2 additional games to catch O.J. Simpson's single season mark and become the second guy to hit 2,000 yards because 16 games instead of 14. Dickerson looked pretty good and all that. I mean, Dickerson still has the most rushing yards in it. That's still the record to this day, 2,105 yards. The closest to Dickerson's mark after 1984 was Adrian Peterson, missing by 8 yards in 2012. Can you imagine 8? The other guys to hit 2,000 yards in a season were Barry Sanders in 97, Terrell Davis 98, Jamal Lewis 2003, Chris Johnson 2009 for the Titans, and AP, and Derrick Henry 2020. In the COVID year, no less. And no, that was not a year that had 17 games in it. It was the 16, and then the next year they went to 17. Although, Lord knows why. But yeah, Eric Dickerson was a very good running back. The LA Rams were a decent team. They made the playoffs on the wings of Dickerson's running attack and all that. And it helped that one of the Rams' offensive linemen was Hall of Famer Jackie Slater. So, yeah, Dickerson did fantastic coming out of the gate. Of course, there were contract disputes, and practically he ran himself, pun intended, I suppose, out of LA and went to Indianapolis in that 3-team trade that saw Cornelius Bennett head to Buffalo from Indianapolis. So the teams kind of won. Dickerson didn't help the Colts out too much. I mean, the Colts, I think, made 1 or 2 postseason bursts, but still, I mean, Dickerson did his job, and he ran the ball for over 2,000 yards, and that's hard to do. I mean, you got some great running backs like Derrick Henry and a few others, but 2,000 yards is huge. You have to go 125 yards per game and all that. And sometimes the run defenses are just right there. But Eric Dickerson has that record that has been set since the end of time, in 1984. And if it wasn't for the prowess of Drew Brees and Tom Brady, maybe Marino's record that was set in 1984 for touchdown passes would be there, and both things would be lasting for 4 decades. But we'll see what happens. Time will tell. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond Ado.